for right now, I wanted to look at another thing going on in Indiana here, and this from the Capitol Chronicle. So, troubled venture capital company Elevate Ventures has been deemed in breach of lending language in all of its active loan agreements with the Indiana Economic Development Corporation after defaulting on an angel investment program this month. The firm operates the Indiana Angel Network Fund, intended to entice and aid angel investments to Hoosier startups. It nabbed the contract in 2011 under the Mitch Daniels administration, with repayment due exactly 14 years later. Hey, that's now. Um, Quick background: an angel investor is a wealthy private investor focused on financing small business ventures in exchange for equity. Unlike a venture capital firm that uses an investment funds, angels use their own net worth. I needed to clarify that for myself when I was reading the article. So, the IEDC sent a request for repayment of nearly $17.2 million, and Elevate Ventures repaid a little less than 13 million on August 4th, falling more than $4 million short. This comes about 3 months after the company was dubbed an entity of interest alongside the IEDC and its nonprofit arm in a forensic investigation of potential financial wrongdoing commissioned by Governor Mike Braun. So, Jesse, I come back to this story a lot because I think we've seen for as long as the IEDC has existed, it has been a basically slush fund for corruption between Republicans in government and their political donors. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, I understand the stated rationale behind things like this, and it's because currently economic development is a race to the bottom across all 50 states. You can see typical case in point was the Amazon HQ2 search from a few years ago, right? They're like, we could bring all this money, all these jobs, all this recurring tax revenue to you. Who's going to make us the best offer? And then you have cities and states falling over each other to give the very best deal to big corporations. But the reason that this has become so corrupt, I've got I could talk to you for an hour about why I think that's problematic and why we need socialism, but that's not the prompt here. So, what we could do to make economic development work better in the short term is transparency, democracy, and accountability, right? I've had friends who worked for the IEDC who talked about like the 600-page proposals that they were reading through about different firms trying to relocate here, that everyone involved had to sign a non-disclosure agreement and no one could talk openly about. NDAs don't benefit us, right? When everything happens in the dark, that's when this corruption's allowed to breed. Sunlight's the best disinfectant. Democracy dies in darkness. There's no end of pithy phrases about why you can't let a few people work it out in the back room and come back out into the public with all the details, because money always changes hands in that back room, or promises for future money. It's inherently corrupting to operate in this way, and so I'll give the very qualified good on Braun for shutting this crap down. But it'll come back again in the exact same way with his stooges that he puts in there, unless we structurally change this and make it more of a democratic and accountable organization.
Leslie, I feel bad I skipped you on that one. What are your thoughts on the IEDC here? And Jesse makes some points about increasing transparency. Well, how would you structure these things?
Well, I think that's a little bit above my pay grade, but I do think that the NDAs and not being able to discuss things in many ways are a problem. I also think that companies working to, basically get a bribe to relocate to a state by demanding a tax abatement for 10 or 20 years, and then it turns out that they don't actually provide that many jobs. It doesn't benefit the state as much as we would like to think. It sounds really good to get a new company. When I was campaigning, a lot of people would just say that Indianapolis was so corrupt, all the politicians are corrupt, and it's all about money. And without transparency, these kinds of rumors persist, or these practices. So, yeah, I do think we need to be transparent and we need to rein in this corruption that is engulfing our entire country, basically.